Hi, I'm Kerry Jo Hodgkin and I'm at the Tristan Bates Theatre doing my show Kiss of the Red Menace, which is a tribute to Kander and Ebb. It's my last night here at the Camden Fringe doing the show before I take it up to Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Fringe. I'm about to go and get ready and get into my corset for that, and I'm having tea with Wilma. My show's a tribute to Kander and Ebb, who wrote great Broadway musicals like Chicago, Cabaret, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Floor of the Red Menace, which is where the name comes from, Kiss of the Red Menace, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Floor of the Red Menace. And I started this show because I love their music. And I've been working in jazz and blues for a long time, and a lot of their musical theatre work is very kind of jazz, blues influenced, and so it allowed me to kind of marry together my great loves of jazz and blues and musical theatre. It's very inspired by Liza Minnelli, by Chita Rivera, so it's a musical theatre cabaret, but with kind of cabaret burlesque styling. So I do the corset and the black lace, and I have bright red leather can tap boots that I customised myself and I'm very proud of. So it's quite sort of show busy and glamorous, and I get to act my little socks off and sing lots of fabulous musical theatre big belt songs, but do some sensitive stuff as well. So it allows me to indulge all my great loves: acting, singing, dancing, and Kander and Ebb. What more could you want? Passionate, a little temperamental, sometimes guarded. I have a tendency to give the impression of really being open so that people don't delve any more deeply than I want them to. Intense, tenacious. Pre-show rituals. Well, I got to about halfway through this week and started steaming before each show. So steaming the voice, that's one that's become quite popular for myself. I make some very, very bizarre noises. Make sure that I kind of stretch my voice in lots of different ways. I have to try and get my larynx higher, because my larynx naturally is big and sits low, which means that I've got a lot of potential range, but it doesn't like being lifted up, and for musical theatre you need a higher larynx position. And so I have to do a lot of trying to adjust the position of my larynx before, and that means that after the show I have to readjust it and send it back down again. It's all very technical stuff, but I'm slightly obsessed with the physiology of the voice. And the other thing is just kind of the makeup and the getting into the costume and so on. I have a particular order that I do everything in, and that's slightly ritualistic, I think. There's been a couple of incidents at the beginning of my show, because my show just kind of plays through. So even under the dialogue, there's music going on underneath, so it's very, very carefully timed. And one night this week, the beginning of the first track, there was loose connection, and so when the person doing sound pressed play, no one could hear it. So I came on in silence instead of to my intro music, and then when it came in, it was kind of part way through, but because the introduction is kind of the same thing over and over again, I didn't know where it was until the chord changed, and then it's like, I should have started singing about 2 bars ago. Oops. But then I picked it up from then. But I've had false nails fly off. Anyway, it's live theatre, things happen. So yeah, and you pick yourself up and carry on and just try and get your head back in the game as quickly as possible. But yeah, things are always going wrong. Okay, it's a toss-up between 2. There's a song called Isn't This Better, which they wrote for Barbara Streisand for Funny Lady. And it's just beautiful, and not that many people know it. It's one of those songs that more than any other, people sort of come up to me afterwards and say, I'd never heard that song before, what an amazing song. It's like, yeah. So there's that one. And then also, But the World Goes Round, which they wrote for Liza Minnelli for the film New York, New York. And Liza quotes that as being her favourite song as well. And just the lyrics of it are so empowering. It's kind of quintessential Kander and Ebb. Life's dumped on you, but you're going to turn it around and make it a positive thing anyway. So, yeah. Oh, Chicago's closing, but I've always wanted to go and play Mama Morton I mean, I do one of her classic songs in the show. I do When You're Good to Mama in the show, kind of Gotta Be Done. And that's actually the first Kander and Ebb song that I did. I'd love to do that. I would love them to do a revival of Gypsy so that I could play Rose. In fact, one of my ideas for a future show is to do my character Melody Rouge. Melody sings Merman and do an Ethel Merman tribute. That's one of my ambitions. But in terms of what's out there at the moment, I'd love to do Lady of the Lake in Spamalot. I'd love to do that. I love Miss Saigon. Not for me to be in it, because, well, actually, I wouldn't mind playing Ellen, the wife. That'd be quite cool. But yeah, I love Miss Saigon. It's always had me in bits. I, rather controversially, actually prefer it to Les Mis. Actually, the school that I do, I teach singing as well, and I teach at a private school up in Bedford where I live, and they're actually doing Miss Saigon as their senior production this coming year. And their productions are such a high standard that it's going to be great. They're already working out how they can get the helicopter in. But I'd love to see that come back. People messing about with a mobile phone, which is a sign of the modern age. I mean, they could be tweeting how much they're enjoying it, but I'd still rather they wait until it's finished. What else? If you're in an intimate theatre, where it is perfectly obvious that the performer is going to be able to see pretty much your every move, whispering to the person next to you whilst it's going on, again, you might be saying something lovely. But I can be quite paranoid at times, and I think a lot of performers can. So you can end up assuming that it's bad, and it can interfere with your focus. You know, particularly when you're the only person on stage, so there's nobody else that you're focusing on. It's you and the audience, and you're doing lots of interacting with the audience. So you're deliberately watching what's going on to look out for the best people to interact with. And that can be really, yeah. The last thing that's on in the West End that I went to see was Singing in the Rain. Kim Sheard took me along, who is doing Divine Yvette, and it's her last night tonight as well as mine. And yeah, we went to see Singing in the Rain, and we had great seats in the dress circle, which was fabulous, because not only do you get a really good view of the show, you get to be really, really smug when people in front of the stalls get drenched during the title song. My favourite West End musical song, oh my goodness. Oh, that changes so much. Possibly, you see, it's not in the West End, and it's not been in the West End. My favourite musical theatre song at the moment is probably Still Hurting from the last 5 years by Jason Robert Brown, but it's not been in the West End, and the chances are it's not going to be, because he got sued by his wife for writing it, and now they're not allowed to give out professional rights. I absolutely love There's a Fine Fine Line from Avenue Q. I adore that song, I adore singing that song. I love But the World Goes Round from the show that I'm doing, and Maybe This Time, which is one of those songs that I connect with personally so much. It hurts. Oh, there's so many. I could go on for hours. So I've been doing this Fringe Festival tour, 7 Fringe Festivals in 4 months, and my last one is the Edinburgh Fringe. I'm up there the 19th to the 25th of August at GHQ, which is underneath the Fiddler's Elbow. And the show is on at 7:35 p.m. each night, runs for an hour, actually 57 minutes to be precise. And up there I'm working with the PBH Free Fringe, so people can come in for free, and we ask, if they're happy to give donations at the end. So basically it's free to come in, but you're part to get back out again. So yeah, just turn up and come see me.